Welcome to the MediaZone Editor Pro tutorial. After installing the software on either a Windows 7 or Windows XP machine, you should now have the MediaZone Editor Pro icon. Clicking that will then open up MediaZone Editor Pro. Three main areas we want to look at today. One is the browser here on the left-hand side. In the middle is the template, and down below is where we create the playlist. Okay, to get started, go to File, and we can select New. We're selecting a brand new playlist down below that we're going to create. One of the first things we want to do is to ensure that our working area, our canvas, is set to the proper resolution. Normally, I'm assuming you want to select 1920 by 1080, or it could be a 1024 by 768 if you're operating in a 4:3 ratio, or if you want, you could even create in a portrait mode. For this example, we're going to use 1920 by 1080. I want to make sure that that resolution matches up with the player output. In the browser window, we actually have different ways that we can look at the media. We can view it as details, thumbnails, gallery, or the view I prefer is the pane. Should point out the media will, in the browser, the media will only display items that we can actually add into a zone. These have to be a JPEG, a bitmap, a GIF, a PNG, or if you were a previous user of MediaZone, PAG files that were created in Media Creator can also be found here. You will not see items such as a PDF, a Word doc. Those are not items we can add, so those are not items that are even visible in the browser. In MediaZone Editor Pro, you'll notice we have a total of 5 different zones plus the background. If I don't want to utilize all 5, if I go to my Home tab, I can turn on or turn off the different zones. Even if I were to leave all 5 zones turned on, if I don't put anything in a zone, if that zone is empty, it will disappear. No outline, nothing to indicate that that zone is there. So if we want to start off, we can add something into the background. I've got just a light blue page. If I add that to the background, you'll see that it will go full screen in the background. Shows up down here, shows a dwell time of 15 seconds. If this is the only thing that is added into the background, even though it has a dwell time, how long on the screen, of 15, it will stay on the screen the entire time. So I can add that in the background. I want to add items into zone 1. I can actually just drag and drop into the zone. And you'll notice down below, it's stacking items up in that zone. Or I can add directly down into the zone itself. When I add a page, a picture, whatever the item is, I can actually come up here to my daytime validity and I can schedule that page when to run. I could tell it to start on the 16th and expire on the 20th. I could go a step further and say during that week's time to go from 8 a.m. until noon. From 8 a.m. until noon each day of the week. I'm not saying end on the 20th at noon, but each day in between from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until noon. I could come down and say, for whatever reason, do not run on Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 until noon. You'll notice I'm not worried about Saturday and Sunday they fall outside of the date range that I selected. Now, if I were to run this for 2 or 3 month period, then I might say do not run on the weekend. Or I could change it and have it only run on the weekend from 8 a.m. until noon, from the 16th until September 21st. And when I say OK, you'll notice that page is now in green. The green tells me that that page has been scheduled. It's still considered to be current, even though it's not starting until next week, and that it will expire. Anything that's left in black is always available. It's always in rotation. Once a page has expired, maybe this was set to run on the 3rd and the 4th, so it's expired, it's now in red. So red is expired, green is scheduled, but will expire someday. Black is something that's always going to run. You'll notice as I'm adding pages, it gives me the dwell time and a total time. Right now my default is set at 15 seconds. Every time I add a page, it will automatically set the dwell time for 15 seconds. The total is just doing a running total. 15 and a 15 is a total of 30. Another 15 is 45. So at the end, I know exactly how long from start to finish before it repeats again. If I wanted to change my default dwell time, if I come up to the File, Options, here's where I can change that default dwell maybe to 10 seconds. Every time I add a page, it'll come on at 10 seconds. I can still manually change that, but the default is 10. Same thing with there is actually a transition. As a page comes on, goes off the screen, it will utilize a transition. Right now I have that set to fade in. Or maybe I would like to do a spin clockwise from the center or counterclockwise from the left bottom. I can select that. Also in the options under resources, it will tell you the current version you're using of software and allow you to check for updates. Actually take you to the site and help download the latest version of software. If I wanted to manually change the dwell time, I can come up here to the upper left-hand corner and adjust that. Same thing with the transition. Maybe I do want this one to grow right. And if I wanted to, I could select a group, change dwell time for all those in the group as well as the transition. You'll notice background, I can still adjust dwell time in the background, but there is not a transition. It's permanently locked in as a cut. So here we are building into one zone. I still have other zones available. I'm going to change and go to a different folder I have set up with videos in the folder. And if I wanted to, I could actually drag and add a video into Zone 2. You'll notice I now have a thumbnail, and it actually goes out and reads the dwell time of the video. Even though I was saying to change it to a default of 10 seconds, it reads the video and tells me that that video is 88 seconds. If I were to go through and add another video, 30 seconds for there, and I have a thumbnail here. I could go back in. I could even mix and match. I don't have to have video or still images in each zone. I could add a video in amongst my still images. Again, in this case, 15 seconds. Come back in, change to go back to another folder, and I could add another picture into Zone 4.